That aide resigned shortly after the incident. In Focus Now, I just mentioned her, Republican Congresswoman of Nancy Mace, of South Carolina, member of the Oversight and Armed Services committees. And I know that you were working on this and you've got some news that you want to tell us. We just learned House Speaker now has set up a special task force. That seems like a big deal. And then something next.
Well, it is historic and it needs to happen. But also we've been trying to get briefed by the Director of Secret Service. So far, she's not shown up. We're supposed to get briefed today. I just got off the phone with Chairman Comer, the chairman of the Oversight Committee, and expressed my support to subpoena the Director of Secret Service. And I'm told that's going to happen maybe within hours today.
I'm in shock right now a little bit because I'm not shocked that she doesn't want to come in on her own volition, but that you would have to go that far to subpoena her, that there's nobody around her. I mean, who does she report to? There's nobody around her to say, you know what, you got to go take a seat now and tell people what happened.
I don't believe she will show up without one. And that was what I expressed to him just literally minutes ago. We're going to have to do that. And so far, the Secret Service has delayed a briefing of the Oversight Committee for 2 days now. We do not know if the director of the Secret Service will even show up to the briefing that is scheduled today for all of Congress. And we do not yet know if she's going to be the one to show up to our hearing on Monday. We're going to have to subpoena her.
So, Congresswoman, some of the reports that have come out is that, you know, with the Secret Service delaying a briefing, they want to wait until they have all of the information. You and I talked off camera. It seems like we are learning a lot now from American citizens in and around what happened on Saturday.
We're learning all of our information from American citizens, and that is not the way that it should be. I learned about a ladder. We learned about the shooter being reported to law enforcement on the ground and nothing happened. With video and showing them. And that we learned, too, that the building wasn't swept. And how does this happen, these kind of protocols? I also learned this week after the shooting that the Vice President Kamala Harris, had an incident in her schedule just a month ago with a Secret Service agent, and whatever happened, the meltdown the agent was having, delayed the Vice President's schedule. We got major issues within the Secret Service.
All right. Well, it is day 3 for the RNC convention, and former President Trump's newly minted vice presidential pick, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, will take the stage tonight. So we'll see him speak for the first time as that nominee for VP. It will be his first official speech since securing that number 2 spot. And the party unity is on full display this week. We've been showing you that. And again last night, former Trump rivals Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Nikki Haley all rallied behind him last night. And they also aimed attacks at the Biden-Harris ticket. Nikki Haley doubled down on her previous read of Kamala.
I said a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for President Kamala Harris. If we have 4 more years of Biden or a single day of Harris, our country will be badly worse off. Let me remind you, Kamala had one job, and that was to fix the border. Now imagine her in charge of the entire country.
Well, Vice President Kamala Harris already has started the battle with her new opponent, J.D. Vance. She released this attack on Vance just a few hours ago.
Trump looked for someone he knew would be a rubber stamp for his extreme agenda, and make no mistake, J.D. Vance will be loyal only to Trump, not to our country.
I want to get to this right away. First of all, just your thought on the pick of J.D. Vance.
Well, I think it's a good pick. I think it's okay that he hasn't always been with Trump. That will appeal to independent voters and centrist voters. He has a great story for Rust Belt states, coming from growing up in Appalachia, growing up poor, being a former Marine, and going to Yale and being successful in business. He has a great American story, and only in the United States is his story even possible.
Okay. How does he match up with Kamala Harris? Or I should say, how does she match up with him? Because she's already challenged. She wants that debate that's scheduled in late August now to happen with him.
Oh, I cannot wait. He's a guy, he's smart, he's brilliant, but he talks in a way that just shows logic and common sense. I think he will run circles around her from a policy perspective. And he talks in a way that whether you are college educated, have a master's degree, or have no education, he speaks to the American people in a way that everyone understands. I like the way he communicates. I really do.
All right. I want to show everybody more of that interview that I had with the former President Donald Trump. And here he is talking about the border. Again, this was our exclusive talk on Saturday, just 3 or 4 hours before he was shot. Let's watch.
Who wants open borders where criminals are pouring into our country? We have tremendous power over those countries. Those countries don't even exist without us. We give them tremendous amounts of money. You know, when I got MS-13 practically removed out of our country, I was taking thousands of, these are probably the worst criminals, the worst gang members in the world. I was told you can't do it because in the Obama administration, they wouldn't allow planes to land at the airports. They wouldn't allow buses. In other words, you couldn't do it. Wow. And I told them, if you don't accept these people back into your country, MS-13 criminals and gang members, if you don't accept them, we are going to cut off all aid. And they called me back, and I said, not only are we going to cut it off, I've already cut it off, okay? We have the greatest people. We're going to close our border. We're going to have people come into our country, but they're going to come in legally.
Yeah, you said day one you would do that.
Day one. They let millions of people pour into our country, and you haven't seen one thing yet, migrant crime, because they're just getting comfortable in our country right now. The migrant crime is going to be numbers that you haven't ever.
So how do
before.
you deal with that on day one?
We're getting him out of here. We're getting him out. He won't get him out. We'll get him out. We're going to get him out. We're going to deal with our local police forces. We're going to get him out. We have no choice. They're going to destroy our country.
First of all, your reaction to what he's saying there.
Well, I mean, we're seeing leadership with Trump. I mean, I've never been more proud to be an American than I am right now. And listening to him, the courage, the strength, the resilience, the policy that Trump's talking about, he's a very strong leader. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, America's strength, in our speeches this evening.
You get the briefings and you're dialed in. What shape has leadership by Vice President Kamala Harris? And I say leadership because the president handed her this responsibility and it blew up.
Yeah.
Like an oil fire.
Yeah, no, it did. And they're not saving our country. I mean, this is happening every single day. As Nikki said, she had one job to do. She could not do it. And we need leadership right now. And I'll tell you, in the last couple of days, I represent a very purple district. I've been back home. I got here yesterday. I've heard from Democrats. I've heard from Republicans. I've heard from independents, people that I would not have otherwise thought to rally around Trump and now his vice presidential pick. People are really, they're angry with what's gone on in our country for the last 4 years, and they don't want to hear any more talk. They want action. They want solutions. They want to know what our elected leaders are actually going to do. Just like, for example, whether it's the border or it's the Secret Service, it's not enough to have these hearings. Who is going to get fired? Who is going to lose their job because they put Trump's life in danger? He took a bullet for our country. Whose head's going to roll? Who's going to get fired?
You know what? I'm so grateful that you said that, because we toss around this word accountability. I'm sick of it.
I'm tired.
I don't want like accountability like, oh, she or he was wrong. I want to know, what are you going to do about that? I grew up as a military brat. I'm used to people saying, well, there's a punitive action for the action you took.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier in the program, no one's ever been fired, not for the 9 million people that came across and invaded our border. No one's ever lost their job for violating the Constitution and breaking the law and allowing these laws to be broken in our country. It never happens. That's why I ran for office, because I'm sick and tired of, we have hearings. It's important. American people need to know if they have questions that need to be answered. But who is going to take full responsibility for what happened Saturday night and every day in this country?
And pay whatever the consequences are for that.
Right.
Yeah, we are a country that we've backed so far away from consequences that our crime is blowing. Everything is
worse today than it was 4 years ago.
You need to have a boundary on what's good and what's right. And keep out the rest. Congresswoman, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Good to see you in person.
Exactly.
All right, up next, we will hear directly from those who matter most, the voters. 6